seriously playful session at the HSRC. Welcome to the colleagues in Durban. Can you hear us? Janet, can you hear us? No, they can't. Cape Town, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. In Cape Town, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Cape Town, can you hear us? And Durban, can you hear us?
Can hear you.
Yes. Okay, can you hear us? Thank you very much. And then you can all hear us. Okay.
Can you see us?
Regretfully, yes. I'm just teasing. I know the people who sit there, they don't take it serious, okay? I'm not using it. You all got the program. I want to ask you all before we start, please put your cell phones on silent. If it's not on silent, we will ask you to play a game here in the middle afterwards. This afternoon's seminar is on lessons and reflections on co-creating playful cities in Johannesburg, and we hope we will all learn from that. And just as way of introduction, I just want to remind us all that play is one of the fundamental rights of children, but also fundamental in child development. Child development actually cannot happen without play. And if young children are deprived, as well as older children, deprived of play, then their development starts to get seriously compromised. And I think we need to take more and more the issue of play and play methodologies, and when we work in early learning, the pedagogies of play very, very seriously. One of my big concerns, and that's why I'm so happy and was willing to chair this afternoon, working in early childhood development, is that we see more and more a notion, and I haven't invented this word, but it sounds to me always so good and grand, the schoolification of early years in early childhood, which is very, very worrying, because in my mind, and I will find the science to prove that, it does more harm than good. It is horrific to arrive at the early childhood development program at 3 years of learning the alphabet. It's more horrific that their parents think that they are clever because they can recite the alphabet. And that is sometimes also the motivation of early childhood development programs, to prove that they are good, that young children can do these awkward things at an awkward age, where they should actually learn through playful activities and be engaged in activities that are supporting emerging literacy and emerging numeracy and their own life skills in terms of that. But it's not my intention to preach this afternoon, it's my intention to learn with all of you. So I'm going to hand over, and not take up a full 15 minutes, to our speaker, Nthuthuko Anderson. Her full bio is available on the program, so I'm not going to bore you to read it out. I assume that all of you are fairly literate and are able to read there, but I think it's enough to say that she's a play activist and will introduce us to the topic. And if I understand it, you will take about 40 minutes, and then we will have a 5-minute video before we engage in discussion. If I look around here, do you want us to introduce each other so that we just quickly know who's here? Will that help? Okay, then we don't feel like strangers. Let's start with Durban. We can see you, Janet.
Okay. Oh, yes, good. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Janet, working with Playworks and A Chance to Play.
Hi, I'm Charmaine Foster from Let's See, in the rural area, but passionate about play.
Hi, Charmaine.
Hello, are you the only two there?
Yes.
Okay, you know how they say in the Christian religion, where 2 or more gathers?
Yes.
Okay, Cape Town?
Hi, I'm Jill Cullinan. I'm an urban planner, just interested in making more of public spaces and opportunities for play.
And my name is Marcela, and I run a program called Plein Street in Cape Town.
Thank you, welcome. Let's start there at the back with Nicole, and then we'll work ourselves around.
Good afternoon, I'm Nicole Brenner from Joburg Child Welfare. Hi everyone, my name is Jamila Mazibugo from the ECE program. Hello everybody, my name is Tessa Brown and I'm from the African Region Media and Alliance.
Hi, Hi everybody, I'm Gretchen Wilson-Franley from Play Africa.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sher with a background in art education.
Good afternoon, I'm Gloria from the city of Joburg, ECD Unit, Social Development Department.
Hi, I'm Nthuthuko from city of Johannesburg.
Hello, I'm Mandy Samtanyana from South African Human Rights Commission.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Kenneth Sitele from the South African Human Rights Commission.
Good afternoon, Pam Hendricks from Social Development, City of Joburg.
Afternoon, I'm Helen Kopa, working for the City of Johannesburg in the Children's Unit.
Afternoon, I'm Sean Ellis from a preschool here in Pretoria.
Hi, I'm Marie Payne from UNICEF South Africa.
Good afternoon, I'm Thandi Mbuku. I'm the founding director of Mini Angels for children with disability and also a psychologist.
Afternoon, my name is Sarah Moweri. I'm one of the parents of the intellectually disabled child. I'm supporting Kandi in the school for the intellectually disabled.
Hello, Dumela. I'm Rebecca Mandala, responsible for ECE, EPWP. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Martin Barnett, founder director of Chip Chumps for the Children's Homes, and I'm the regional chairperson for the Child Protection Committee's Gauteng.
Good afternoon everyone, Happy Solomon HSRC Science Communication Unit.
Good afternoon everyone, Isabel Magaya and children.
Hi, I'm Dominique. I'm from the Hummingbird as well, and also Goldsmiths University. This is Lake. He's having a... He'll join us later.
Hi, I'm Colin Levine from Geppetto as well. Playground equipment, life sciences, and just a plain business.
I'm Tammy from Geppetto as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Valerie Fickard from Plan Children at the HSRC.
Hi everyone, I'm Natalie Somukabela from Teledesons Germany.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kosa from Teledesons Germany.
Good day everyone, I'm Charity Rosman from A Chance to Play Southern Africa.
Hello everyone, I'm from A Chance to Play Southern Africa. My name is Regina.
I'm Sharon Shivel from A Chance to Play South Africa.
I'm Cynthia Morrison. I'm also on the management committee of A Chance to Play and also very involved with toy libraries.
Hello, I'm Louise Erasmus and I'm a consultant.
Good afternoon, I'm Danielle Hutchinson and I'm with Hummingbird and I teach at St. Mary's in Johannesburg.
I'm Vicky. Hummingbird.
This is our technical advisor.
Moses Mushala from HSRC.
There's two people there at the back and cameraman.
I'm Alice. I'm a master's and research assistant.
Hi, I'm Precious and I'm part of Pen Children.
Hi, I'm Forislo and I'm part of Pen Children.
Okay, I think we have introduced a neat introduction now. We have here from very young, and I don't say to very what, but we have everybody here, lots of experience. I'm going to hand over to you now, Nthuthuko, and to proceed with the presentation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andre, for sharing and being here. Thank you also to Precious, for organising today, and for Valerie and Andrea from HSRC for inviting me. I also just want to acknowledge Daniel and Dominique.
Sorry to interrupt, but we can't hear in Cape Town.
So I can't.
Oh, you need to stand close to this. Because these are the microphones.
Maybe let me just move it. If you stand here.
You can stand there then, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, great. So I was just going to introduce my two colleagues, board members, Daniel and Dominique, who have been involved really from the start. We're a very new organisation. Dominique is a mother of three and was a play worker and is very involved in the Adventure Playground in London, where she's working at the moment at Goldsmiths University. She's a lecturer in the anthropology department and is very interested in research around play, which we're kind of moving into more of that research space. Daniel is now based in St Mary's, which is kind of one of the pioneers of the Reggio Emilia approach in Joburg, South Africa. And he was a musician. He's been involved in quite a few projects such as Buscade, Fuyani Dance Theatre, and the Cato Manor Academy as well. So also a father of two, and yeah, glad to have you guys, my moral support. I'm going to start with a video just to tell the story of the hummingbird. It's something that we put together with the kids, a little amateur video, but just to kind of explain why we are hummingbird.
Cape Town and Durban, just confirm whether you can see the video.
I've just sent it now.
Yes.
Okay, yes, from where?
Yes, we can see it. Just waiting for sound.
Okay.
Same in Cape Town.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's the story of the hummingbird as told by Wangari Maathai. We're constantly being bombarded by problems that we face.
Could you speak up a little?
Yeah.
I'm badly speaking.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's start the video again.
Okay. We're constantly being bombarded by problems that we face, and sometimes we can get completely overwhelmed. The story of the hummingbird is about this huge forest fire. All the animals in the forest rushed out and were transfixed as they watched the forest burning. They felt overwhelmed and powerless, except this little hummingbird who said, "I'm going to do something about the fire." So it flew to the nearest stream, took a drop of water and put it on the fire, and went up and down as fast as it could, trying to put the fire out. All the while, the other animals, much bigger ones like the elephant, with a big trunk who could bring much more water, were just standing there helpless and were saying to the little hummingbird, "What do you think you can do? You're too little. The fire is too big. Your wings are too small. You can only bring a small drop of water at a time." But as they continued to discourage it, the hummingbird turned to them and said, "I'm doing the best that I can." And that to me is what all of us should do. We should always feel like a hummingbird. We may feel insignificant, but we certainly don't want to be like the animals watching as the planet burns and is destroyed. So I will be a hummingbird and I will do the best I can. So that was a story that I found by Wangari Maathai, who was Africa's first female Peace Prize winner. She was an environmentalist, and yeah, the early beginnings when we were looking more at nature-based play. It was a very inspiring story. Can you go to the presentation? Very inspiring story, and it's become a bit of a kind of totem animal for us, the hummingbird. In other cultures, it signifies love, joy, playfulness. But there's also, it's a very resilient bird, very adaptable, and these are some of the kind of qualities that we, when we're working with our kids, try and impart this idea of social responsibility and awareness. So we formally registered in 2013. We've now become much more focused on play work and creating and advocating for safe and stimulating play spaces for children. We work, collectively. No one is employed full-time. We're all working in other jobs. This is kind of a voluntary thing. We have quite a few people coming in and out of the reference group, and it's a continuous process of think and do. We bring together local knowledge, artistic practices, and progressive play work and early childhood education approaches. And our vision really is this idea of playful cities. So some of the initiatives we've been doing, we've got the Pop-Up and Play program, which are the street and outdoor sessions with holiday clubs as well. The Improving Public Play Spaces, we're now consulting with Joburg City Parks to build a new playground in central Joburg. Working towards establishing South Africa's first community-based adventure playground, and then this ongoing research and advocacy work on play work and early childhood education. We all know the situation that we have here, under-serviced, under-resourced play spaces. On the opposite side of the spectrum, I think equally worrying is the kind of more culture, indoor play areas. I call it the atomization of society. People wanting their own car, their own pool, kind of sitting in their bubble and not connecting, not being out and connecting with each other. Also, you know, technology, media, children just getting transfixed and addicted to it. We all know the dangers and the harms of that. So this is kind of what we, you know, our problems. Trends and challenges, just for context, globally in the play movement, we have this idea of nature deficit disorder. Richard Liu, if you haven't heard of him, you should read his book, Last Child in the Woods. Very, you know, quite scary, but lots of amazing solutions in there on how we can bring nature back into our children's lives. Because this is a serious health problem, this disconnection with nature. We see outdoor and street play diminishing, certain types of play being deemed as antisocial. Even in certain parts of the world, climbing a tree now in a park is like seen as a, you know, antisocial behaviour. Real and imagined risks. Crime exists, paedophilia exists, yes, but to what extent do we then feed into this and then overprotect our children? Also very concerned, especially now with the Playground project, the overly stringent health and safety regulations in public play spaces, and Tim Gill is an amazing blogger on this issue and campaigning on this issue. As Andre mentioned, the schoolification of ECD, but also schoolification of schools. I think like not enough play in schools. Recess time all around the world is being cut year on year. There's like less time for play, too much too soon, leading to play deprivation. Again, quite a serious health issue. Another issue is urban land use. You know, play just doesn't generate any income. Isn't seen as a priority. Land in urban centres have to be seen to be generating income, and we're not prioritising enough space for play and recreation and green and just green open space. There is, you know, this increased spotlight on play. I think in the last 5 to 10 years, maybe you have play work, play theory, play science. I think the main thing is that playfulness is essential. It's essential to creativity, to innovation, to vibrant and productive societies and economies. Richard Liu in his book did a very interesting study of like looking at inventors and the creative people and their biographies. Massive research, like 500 people he looked at, and nature was such a huge part of their lives, where they got this kind of inspiration and you know, experimentation. Similarly, Dr. Stuart Brown talks about goes over 6,000 play histories of people and looking at how adults who were violent, a lot of it came from childhoods that were, you know, had what play deprivation. And then, you know, thankfully as well, we're getting this voice through the movement, you know, really pushing for play as a social investment. And I think that's, you know, really important that we see it as that. Playful City, I know we have child-centered city, child-friendly city. I think, you know, as play workers, we look at it through a play lens, so it's the same thing really, but a few things I think to share is that we see that if play is the children's language, their environment should reflect that. You know, we should have much more playful environments that really speak and respond to children. This is a Reggio Emilia concept, the environment as a third teacher. That's normally applied to the classroom, but we take that beyond the classroom and say, you know, we need environments that support children's learning and curiosity and imagination. Play as path, not as destination. I love this idea of play as path. It's from the Playscapes blog, which is also really amazing, looking at playgrounds. Play as path is that we mustn't just corral children into these like pens of playgrounds. The city should be a path of play. We all, you know, we need to play. This concept of multi-generational play. It's not just children. We need cities that support our, you know, spaces where we can be free and play, not, you know, have to be engaging always in kind of economic activity. Open Streets, I think Marcella is here from Cape Town, who's founder of Open Streets, which is an amazing movement that started in Colombia and is now spread around the world, and they are advocating for weekly car-free days in the middle of town, in the middle of Cape Town, and we just met earlier this week about bringing this to Joburg, so hopefully at some point you see Joburg's first open street. And linked to that is the Play Street movement, which in Europe is quite popular, of streets residents applying to councils to have their streets closed on a weekly basis, maybe on the weekend, and then they will have no traffic, only pedestrians and stuff. So it really getting that street play, encouraging the street play again. Just linking it to health. There's a lot of focus on sanitation, nutrition, education, but this loss of free play really is, it's a huge issue. And the spaces, I think for us, we really focus on the issue of having the spaces in which to play. So I'll talk a little bit about our story. When we initially started, I was actually more focused on doing a preschool, a nature-based preschool. We applied to, it had to be a public space. We really wanted to link in with local government. Very naively, I had this idea of, I was going to develop a model, this is a model and this is what everyone should follow. I think learning in the last, meeting loads of different people in the sector in the last few years, I've moved away from this idea that we need one model that's going to fix everybody's problems. I think everyone's got things that work in their context, and it's been really interesting to share and learn from each other on that. So we applied to JPC, manage the buildings. Joburg Property Company manage Joburg's public stock. I think it's at 1.6 billion rand worth of property. Very difficult process, and this is a bowling club that the Residents Association owned. They had a 5-year lease. Nothing had been done apart from the community gardens. The building was standing. We approached, we wanted to put money into the building, needed a little bit of work, and we were going to run a project that really runs alongside all the city's objectives around food security for the garden, ECD, inclusion, youth, you name it, So we had a lot of back and forth, 14 months, a lot of time and energy put into that process to be told that they wanted to do a highest best use assessment, which in estate agent speak, that's basically saying what is this land, what is the value of this land, what is the highest amount we can get from this land. But very odd kind of outcome. We tried to then find out who had taken this decision. JPC is a very closed organisation. You can only get minutes from council. Decisions that are taken in there, which I find worrying because they control public spaces. Yet it's a very, very untransparent organisation. So we didn't know where that decision had been taken from. 9 months lapsed. We checked back in with them, no response, and that was the end of that. We just walked away from that. During this time, I went on a trip to Berlin and I got really inspired by this organisation called Spielwagen, who'd been doing these temporary playgrounds since the 70s. In East Berlin, there were less, in the playgrounds there, they didn't have play structures compared to the West. So they'd make their own stuff, bring it to the parks, go to different parks every day. Phone call with Dominique one day. I was like, really, desperate to be waiting for this thing, desperate to actually do something with the kids and get out there and play. So we decided to do pop up and play. Very naively as well, thought we invented this idea of pop up. Went on Google and found out there's a huge movement, pop up playground movement. So we started in Yeovil and Troyville. That's some of Tammy and Colin's equipment that they kindly lend us once in a while. So we did some stuff at the Melville Music Festival last year, which was really amazing. Very different dynamic because parents were there, and we couldn't leave your child there because it was a festival. And that was really interesting, having parents around and seeing them engage with play. Some more pictures of the thing. So what shifted for me was I'd been very focused on early childhood, and then going into the play space and in parks, it was generally a lot of older children coming. And one thing I really experienced was, sort of equipment was really for in my head, very small kids, but you'd find these older kids really just wanted to get in there and be whacking around, and maybe missed opportunities early in their lives, or just that need that, they just wanted to play. So it's been a big learning for me, moving the age group, moving up, and really kind of trying to see how we accommodate for older children and their play needs. And when HSRC asked us to do the case study, the written case study, they talked about the model, which I've said, we kind of scrapped the model. Also with Radio Emilia, they talk about an approach. And we are very much practice-led theory. Paulo Freire, who's a big inspiration, he always says we make the road by walking. So it's really evolved, and it's we're learning every day. It moves. But the major influences are Forest School, which started really in Norway, Denmark, Germany. Children spend in some schools they spend all day outside. Most schools they spend the morning. Talking about in Denmark in snow, where they'll say there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. The kids are out there all year round, and very simple equipment, just learning from nature. Let me go on to this. So Forest School, really, there's a lot of research being done on it. Kids who spend time outdoors have fewer infections and allergies, are less stressed, have better motor skills, are less obese, have well-developed social skills, fewer conflicts, are more creative and imaginative. And there's a bit more research there. You can look at. I think that's really important, the benefits for the girl child. We're very concerned about that girls who spend a lot more time outdoors come out feeling a lot more self-confident physically, emotionally, and intellectually. The major challenge we've always had is this perception of nature and outdoors unsafe and unhealthy, and parents really not wanting their children to get messy or dirty, or kind of perceptions about cold and wet and all these things, and those are things that are really quite difficult to get through. Our second influence, Reggio Emilia, I talked about this environment as the third teacher. I love this quote: the children best create meaning and make sense of their world through environments which support complex, varied, sustained, and changing relationships between people, the world of experience, ideas, and the many ways of expressing ideas. We're really focused on creating these spaces, creating these beautiful environments, awe-inspiring environments, stimulating spaces for kids. And then much later on, through we've come towards Playwork and the Playwork principles. There's 8. I won't go through all of them. But what's really important is this definition of play. It's a process that is freely chosen, personally directed, and intrinsically motivated. You hear a lot of forums I've been into, people talking about structured play. Just really grates me. That's an oxymoron. You can't have structured play. Play is yourself directing, your activity. Then another important thing about Playwork is that the process in the UK was very linked into kind of activism and how urban space was used and participatory kind of processes. So they talk about Playworkers should inform the development of play policy, strategy, training, and education. And I think that's also really important. Is again, you find a lot of people working with kids kind of divorced from the wider kind of social, political implications of the work that they're doing, and it's such a crucial job. So I love this aspect of Playwork. And then, of course, the others really all speak to the most important thing is the role of adults. The relationship that you have is to, what facilitators do, you guide, you support, but really not to direct. Our view of children, running through all those 3 approaches, I think, is how we see children: competent, they're our co-creators, they're equal partners. We learn just as much from them. We not just learners, they're also our teachers. We don't have this view of kids just being vulnerable victims, beneficiaries, and in need of care. An amazing piece of research from Elwani Ramagonda. She's the head of occupational therapy at UCT now, and she did a study on a family, 3 generations, and looked at how play had changed over a time of rapid change in South Africa, from grandmother to grandchildren. And in it, she talks about how children are active agents of social change through play. They make history. The play, the narratives, the stories, the songs, things change. So they're history makers, and we should really, just have this empowered vision of children. There's another play theorist who has these 7 rhetorics of play. The dominant one is this idea of play as progress, that children play in order to learn skills, to become successful adults, But what's emerging now is the idea that children play to express themselves and expand their imagination. it's not just this route to being an adult and about learning. It's you know, really bringing in this idea of expression and identity. So I talked about pop-up and play. That was how we kind of initially started, and still less so last year. We did a few events. We'll be really focusing now on public play spaces. So in partnership with Play Africa, Children's Museum, we approached Johannesburg City Parks last June to build world-class playgrounds for a world-class African city. Really what's on offer in Joburg is, we need something much more dynamic and in tune with this trend towards natural playscapes. The new park in Metro Park, lots of issues, kind of steel, very low, no sand, a lot of issues there, and it's been underutilized, not a lot of shade, and they've been really receptive. It's been a breath of fresh air after having such difficulty working with the city initially to go to parks, and they are just very open to ideas, and we're getting there. So it looks like we had pitched for Zoo Lake, but we've been given Emerentia Botanical Gardens, so that's underway, and hopefully sometime next year. So these are kind of just some pictures there of like different designs we're looking at. Really looking at using materials as well that are already in JCPZ's network. They've already got logs, rocks, wood chips. A big part of our concept is this idea of loose parts with the pop-ups. Loose Parks was an architect who, in the 70s, who came across this. The children, the more basic and kind of unspecific the equipment you give children, the more ways they can interpret it and make it into different things. So if you give a child a truck, it's a truck, they might turn it into a phone or this, but if you give them a stick, that stick can be a million things. So we want to try and create spaces where they can build dens and move things around and have a little bit more control of their space. So it's not just, here's a swing, back forth. You actually are moving around the space and changing it. I've got a real issue about the fact that there's no sandpit in the whole, maybe, I don't know if Pretoria has sandpits, but no sandpit in Joburg. Such an essential and versatile play material. Even now at the moment we are talking about the playground design and the surfacing, and the health and safety regulations now talking about rubber. There's a new bylaw that came through that has to be rubber surfacing. Incredibly expensive to install. They even said that at the zoo, around the very high traffic areas, 3 months it's already worn. And there is so much research saying that natural materials like wood chip, like sand, are perfectly fine for surfaces. So this is like a long-term vision that we've got, is to kind of change these kind of overly stringent regulations. And this is a Danish playground designer who really talks about standardization. Standardization is more dangerous for children. If you climb a tree, if you climb rocks, it's uneven. You have to really concentrate and think about how you're moving. It's kind of very, straight ladders up and down. Children remember that immediately, and then there's no challenge. Also, just the idea of risk. This is a playground. Look at this, how high that is. I mean, how do I do that? No, that's a really, really high fall, and there's just sand underneath there. And we need to think about risk. Like the playground at Zoo Lake, which is like our flagship park in Joburg. My nephews are 10. It's boring. That is really for a certain age group, and after that there was absolutely no challenge or fun.